Hello, and welcome back to the Sunday special episode of the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana, as we do every Sunday, a little bite-sized special episode of this podcast. And we are even more special today because we are joined by hilarious comedian and host of the new Betches podcast, Call Waiting, Robyn Schall. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, guys. I'm excited to be here.
I looked like I was reading your name, but I was reading the name of the podcast.
I was like, if he doesn't know my name.
And we are here with...
this bitch.
What's your name again?
Who are you?
She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Bobby.
No, but I was saying, because as you know, I'm a compulsive review reader, and I don't just read our own reviews, but I read all the Betches podcast reviews. And Robyn has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Call Waiting. I've never seen anything like it. How I was reading them, how is a person not hated by anyone? It's very impressive.
No, I'm hated by people, but they don't follow me. I feel like if you don't like me, you act if you hate my voice, you actually don't give me a second.
You don't even enter the Robyn Schall store.
Yeah,
You're just I'm not going in there.
You know how people hate watch people?
Right.
People don't hate watch me.
I have a theory on that for you. I think because your brand is happiness. Giggle.
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Your brand is not happiness.
No. My brand is judgment, misery.
And it's so weird that people review us negatively.
Right. Why?
Something negative to say.
They're tapping into your energy.
Right. We've known each other how long? A decade?
Yeah,
13 years? 12 years? So we started comedy together.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we've probably had this conversation before of where do people find their thing?
Yeah.
I have found misery and her horrifying.
Least expect it.
Yeah. But Robyn, it is so cool for me to see, during the pandemic, I don't want to tell your story for you, but let people, what happened during the first video you had that popped off in the pandemic is the most heartwarming tale.
Yeah. So Jared and I both started stand-up 2010, 11, a long time ago. And then I was doing comedy forever, and I posted, both of us, you and I are probably the two people who post the most on social media.
Always. Just
even before we had followers.
Yes.
We were just shooting shit out there. No one watched.
It's the void.
Yeah. And then
spraying our seed at all comers on the internet.
Yep, that's what I do. Okay, so then during the pandemic, I posted a video. I found my goals list that I wrote in 2019 about 2020, and it was everything that opposite happened. I was like, 2020, I'm gonna get thin, I'm gonna be more social, I'm gonna be, and then and everything was the opposite happened. And the last thing on the list
was be super healthy.
Yeah, it was all the things.
Get outdoors more.
Yeah, it really was. It was everything that the pandemic took away from us. And the last thing on the list was spend more time with grandma. And I'm drunk and laughing, and I'm and she died. And it was so dark, but it hit a nerve with everyone.
Did she actually die?
Oh, both did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When I was recently interviewed on a news show, and I was telling them this story, but they were all stuffy old men. I'm and then she died, and they didn't laugh. And I was all right, well
they
now
were where next?
Right.
Shit. Yeah.
But right. But it is funny because when you hear that story, this is that's the laugh you have at a Shiva call.
Yeah.
When you're hanging out with your family, everyone's a little drunk, and you're oh my God, I found this goals list. And then it's and I'm going to spend more time with grandma. And you're all at grandma's house when she just died.
Yes.
And you're have this kind of therapeutic laugh over that. That's kind of the feeling I got from watching that. And it went super viral.
It went super viral. And even though it was dark, exactly what you were saying, because this was a pandemic that killed all old people.
Right.
When I said grandma, I was talking for everyone. So everyone from Oprah to Jennifer Gardner to the Kardashians, everyone was sharing it because it wasn't my list. It was all of our lists.
Cumulative lists.
Totally.
Yeah. And so then, and then from there, all those videos I posted for years and years, now people are oh my God, she's a comic. Oh, she does this, she does that.
And people are anytime I end up on a Robyn Schall video, it's the brand is giggling. I'm giggling and having fun with it.
I got that energy.
Yeah.
So if you hate me, then that's on you. You're the miserable
You have to really
one.
be fucked up to show up to you being taped against the wall. Giggling about how stupid this is and go, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
My grandmother died in a tape incident.
The internet is such a place, though, that those people do exist.
Yeah.
Right, they do.
Yeah. Sometimes the only thing I'll get hate on is self-deprecating blank humor. Because if I call myself chubby or stupid, then I get a lot of women being like, Robyn, you're beautiful. I'm like, okay, I was joking.
Robyn, you're too beautiful to make this kind of comments about yourself.
Right. Robyn's
Don't talk
hate
about
is,
my friend Robyn like that.
Exactly.
Robyn's hate is toxic positivity. Too much positivity. Yeah.
I'm like, calm down. I was joking. Now you're making me feel ugly.
I mean, speaking of the amount of people who overwhelmingly seem to be obsessed with you, you on a call waiting episode called 4 of your exes.
Yeah.
Right? And I was listening to this episode and I'm like, when are these people going to start telling her what a piece of shit she is? And like, it never happened. I mean, not that I think that you are one. I'm just kind of like, that's what I would anticipate if I called any of my exes.
No.
But only positive things that your exes said. I feel like that is an anomaly.
Well, no. This is the thing. This is kind of back. I don't want to bring up the Jonah Hill conversation again, but like men generally run away from these things.
From
like,
confrontation.
From confrontation. We don't want to dig deep into it. We don't want to talk it over. How many times have you been like,
very annoying,
we have to have closure on this, and like we broke up. It's closed. It's over. What else is there to talk about?
But why?
I could get a call from an ex from 8 years ago, and I'd be like, "Are you pregnant?" Like I would be like my immediate. I'd be like, "I'm sorry, you got pregnant by this week, today." You know, like for me, like I wouldn't know how to respond. When you called them, was it out of the blue?
I gave them all heads up, like, hey, I'm doing this podcast. Only one of them was I not in contact with. Like one I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. The one, the Hercules. So that one it was out of the blue, and I was with for 6 years.
Okay.
And then I messaged him, and I was like, hi.
What's the text? What is the text?
Well, first I had a panic attack because I did not want to message him, but I knew it'd be good entertainment.
Right.
You know, so
it's always the things you want to do the least that the audience loves the most.
The only thing that was good was about a month ago, I heard from him for the first time in 7 years. He wrote, like, congratulations on all your success.
Great text.
So he opened the door.
So he opened the door.
Yeah. Okay. That does help it.
Yes.
Like,
right.
So that text, go ahead.
Well, take us back to when you broke up. Was there a negative
Oh,
feeling?
totally. He broke up.
Okay.
He lived in New York, and then he moved to California to like pursue surfing. He was like a big surfer guy. And then I went out there, and we were like going to get married. Like this was like it.
I think I remember you were in a very serious relationship.
Yeah, and you probably met because he would come to the Carolines shows a bunch. And then he like had gone to a vacation in California. He's like, I really want to move there. I'm like, go 6 months, I'll go out there. And he's like, great. He moved 3 weeks later. I move out there, and he's like, we got to break up. And I said, why? And he pretty much said, like, we don't want the same lives. Like, I want a wife who's gonna like be home and have dinner with me and like spend weekends with me.
As a surfer? Like that's like I'm home from the ocean, hon.
Well,
like what the fuck is he talking about?
It wasn't his job. Like it's like his hobby. Okay. He's not good.
Did you cook the roast? Okay. I'm back from the swells.
Were you kind of like, were you mad at him for being like, why didn't you just break up with me before you left?
I was heartbroken. Like it was my worst time was him breaking up with me because I thought this was it. I knew he wasn't completely supportive of the stand-up, but
did you start stand-up? You were in a relationship and then you started stand-up?
We were like a year in, and then I started stand-up.
I have this theory that anyone who starts stand-up while in a relationship will be out of that relationship. There's a problem with the relationship if you start stand-up. Yeah. I mean, Maisel...
You've got a lot to say.
Right. Well, yeah, you're going to talk about it. And also, like, why are you... Yeah, you're like, you've gotten accustomed to one lifestyle, like, oh, this is how the relationship works. And then you're like... Why do you want to do the total opposite lifestyle as what we have now?
Because like with the first year we were together, we lived in the same town. We'd see each other every night, every weekend. And then I got into stand-up, and I'm never home at night or weekends. So
what were you doing before stand-up?
I was like an actress, but not working.
Okay, but I mean, like you were in like the arts the entire time.
I was home all the time, like,
making the roast.
He liked when you were
the housewife.
Okay. He liked when you were home a lot. Okay.
Right,
dusting and cooking.
Right, as Robyn
Two things
does.
I've never done in my life. So he like kind of broke up with me out of the blue, being like, we want different lifestyles. You want to be famous and travel the world, and I just want like a quiet lifestyle, you know.
Okay.
So he broke up with me, and I was crying, fuck you, and then we didn't speak for 7 years.
Clean, no talking, no go back, no nothing.
No,
and you're from the same hometown.
Yeah.
So you never heard like about him, what's he's up to?
So for 2 weeks, I would like on on Facebook, I saw him like going out, like because he was like joining a row team and like all
When
this
he broke
stuff.
up with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so after 2 weeks, I like everything, like
Unfollowed.
unfollowed
Defriended,
everything. I was like,
all
I don't even
of
want to
it.
see this. You're dead to
Yeah.
me. And then we never talked.
Well, that's kind of a nice lesson to hear. Like that's the proof is in the, it worked.
Yeah.
Like out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
unfollow, friend, all that stuff. And then 7 years later, you haven't thought about it. That's a
Yeah.
nice thing.
What did you feel when you got the text? Congrats on your.
Oh my God!
What did you like? What did happen in your body?
My stomach dropped. I was in shock. Like
Okay.
I never thought I'd hear from him ever again for the rest of my life. And if I did, I always thought I'd bump into him. Like he'd be home and we'd find
Right.
each other in Long Beach or
Right.
But
he went out of his way.
to send me
text.
that message.
Yeah.
And what was it? Congratulations, no follow-up text, or
It was like, congratulations, like so proud of you. And so then I write like, thanks so much. I can't believe it's all happening or something like that. And then
Okay.
that was it. He didn't
great.
write again.
I think that's a perfect.
Yeah.
He didn't answer that the text that you sent.
No.
Okay.
That's a perfect check-in.
Yeah.
To me, like you have had a ton of success. You're killing it.
Exactly.
So it's like, the idea of like, hey, I just want to let this person know, like, there's no animosity. I'm cheering for the life that I told you I
Yeah.
didn't want to be a part of. I'm happy you got that
And
thing.
actually, in that episode, when we're talking, it gets a little emotional because we're talking about, just stuff. And then at the end, I said, I'm ending each call with something I learned or thanking each guy. And I said, I want to thank you for breaking up with me because you actually let me go do the thing
Right.
that I'm
Right.
doing right now. And if I was with you, I probably wouldn't have done this. I needed to be.
You might have second guessed it.
Yeah.
You might have said, and again, this is like the icky part of relationships. Like someone goes, well, again, I keep bringing up Jonah Hill, the name that shall not be said, but like,
Oh, is he single?
he's single, he's out there. He might be a
not
little bit of a
single.
tough texter.
Oh, no, I think he's actually going to be a dad
He
now.
has a baby.
Oh yeah, he's not single. So, but I'm just saying, like,
Maybe now he's single. We'll find out.
but you have that conversation of like, well, I don't like that you go out every night, and I don't like that you're doing this career that
Well, he's saying not for me.
not for me.
Yeah.
And breaking up is kinder than, hey, we'll work through this.
Yeah.
a little
Right.
sometimes.
Which it took me to hindsight. It took me till now to realize, like, he did me the biggest favor. We
Right.
would fight. I would come home at like 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Especially in those beginning years when we
Open mics and things
my
that
God,
when we
12:30 spot like prom shows that
horrific. And yeah, do prom shows for kids that just want to like
Yeah.
be drinking and fucking.
Yeah, and
You
then
know,
I'd get
not
back to
listen-
Long
It
Island
would be after prom.
Oh,
after
Interesting.
prom.
Okay.
Those
It'd
were
be
the
the horrible.
worst.
Is that like the hazing of comedians?
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it
like
was the worst. Those are the worst shows, right?
those are the worst. Yeah, because they're like they don't get your jokes. They're
Right.
18. Like
Yeah.
they don't want to fucking
they
look
don't
at
wanna
you.
be
They
there.
don't want to be
That
there.
makes sense.
And the other thing is like doing, especially in the beginning, you're doing a lot of things that you don't have tangible evidence of why money.
Right.
Yeah.
You're doing things that you're like, this will pay off one day.
Maybe.
Maybe. Right. You're right. You're right. And so it's hard to look at someone who's going, well, why not just not do the open mic? And you're like, I have to.
You have to.
Right.
It's like, and then you come home and you bitch about it, and then they say, "Don't do it then." And it's
Right.
like, well, no, I have to. Also, understandably, it is a little harder for a guy to be like. It's mostly men,
It's a lot of
so
men.
that I'll be
Right.
with 10 guys, and he'll be like.
Right.
You're coming home at 4 in the morning and you're with all these guys. I'm like, literally, no one's touching each other.
It's not like that. I remember I dated a woman once where she said something. I was like, the relationship's over today. Like she was like, she said something along the lines of like, she referenced another comedian
Yeah.
that was like, in my eyes, successful. And they're
Okay.
like, what do you want to be? Like that person? And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess you'll never understand it.
Yeah.
Like you don't understand, like that person, they are doing well. Like I do look up to how they're doing, and no, I have bigger dreams than maybe they're at right now, but they have bigger dreams than they're at that you're looking at them from. I was like, but that's such a way that
Right.
it's hard. I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
never make you
Well,
understand.
they didn't get what you were doing, so they didn't really get you.
right.
I see that.
So, I can understand where it's
Yeah.
like when you're around that, if you don't go, I got to get out of this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can get
Well-
stuck in it.
Should we play the clip and then we can break it down
Yeah.
afterwards?
Let's do it.
Let's play it.
Hello?
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. We were calling you Hercules for this whole thing, even though this is going to be so hard for me to do.
You can call me whatever you'd like, but Hercules will work fine for this exercise.
For this group activity, everyone. Okay, so it's a few things. This is like so broad, but like, what was like the best and worst thing about dating me?
Let's see. Well, the best, and I'm not just saying this, was not just you, of course, but what came with you was your family, and your family exhibited nothing but love. So what do I mean by that? In other words, you and your family taught me how to truly love. And you learn that by seeing it. And to be honest, I think, and feel free to tell this to your family, because I'm sure they'd like to probably hear me too, if they're not listening. but that is obviously one of the major things. Above and beyond that, your love of the ocean, of course, which we'll probably get into that question further down the line, I would think. But that was obviously a great one. Your love of just doing fun things. You're very passionate. You're passionate in numerous things. So there's so many good things to say. I can't say one bad thing about you. Never. I never did. So.
All right, let me tell you all the bad things about you. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, as I take out my scroll.
I mean, what a sweet thing to say.
Right.
That's like makes me emotional.
Yeah,
like, hearing that.
And that was like the first thing that we like spoke about was like, I mean, first we explained why Hercules, and then we went into that, and I was just like, oh, my heart, you know.
Right. No, he seems. I mean, is he still single?
I don't know. I'm not doing.
You don't want to hear
I
that.
You didn't ask any questions
I didn't
about that?
ask that. I also didn't want to overstep. Like, if there's someone, I want to be like super respectful. We kind of
Right.
just kept it in past.
This
past.
is why they agreed to speak to you now. Don't
you know.
you wanted to be respectful. Wow,
Right,
okay.
right.
I should try that.
Oy, my heart would be racing.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I mean, and it seems like he didn't have anything bad to say about you either. Which
Yeah.
is like,
No, the following thing when they said, I said, like, what's the bad thing? And he's like, I'll never say anything bad about you. You know, so I'm sure he has plenty of bad. That's the thing, is people have plenty of bad to say about me. They're just not
I
going
guess
to.
if I was to put myself in his shoes, I could give you reasons it didn't work, but I don't have any like bad blood for anyone that I've dated in my past. Like I the idea of like, again, when I hear these, like, and he did that, I don't have a connection to that. Like, I have a connection to why
there's
it
no one
wouldn't
who
work.
you have negative feelings towards that you've broken up with. Did it
I
make,
mean, I can see why it wasn't the match. Not
That
I hate them. You know,
well,
that would
that's
be
what I would
never-
want to ask. I think if I had called an ex, I'd be like, I mean, I like the way you did it, and it feels very respectful. I think I'd want, like, did you have an urge to be like, looking back, like having him analyze it from a perspective of 6 years later,
Well, there was
or 7 years later?
No, because I really didn't have any harboring feel. The thing I was the maddest about when I started that call was the fact that he broke up with me out of nowhere. Like, he knew I was a comic, and like, you know. But then by the time I got to the end of the call, I was like, oh my God, you actually did me the biggest favor. So the call was really good because it was very therapeutic. Because when I started the call, the point was to get to that point, and we started talking about the breakup. And by the end of talking about it, it like dawned on me, like, oh, you thank you. And I said thank you. You know, the other guy that I called, we called him bread and peanut butter, but I was like annoyed with, because he was like hot and cold when we were dating. Like, he came on really strong and then just out of nowhere stopped, and I called him out on it, and I asked him why, and he was kind of just honest. He's like, I just didn't think our schedules, like, I never saw you, I didn't think it'd go anywhere. He goes, nothing to do with you, but I didn't want someone I could actually date. And so he said it in such a nice way that gave me some peace also.
It makes you think, wouldn't it be great if guys could just be honest?
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
tell
everyone
you,
looks like, look at
and
me.
just tell you, what they were actually
But also,
thinking.
we don't know if they're being honest. He could have thought I was repulsive and went with the scheduling. You know?
Well, no, I think
I'm
I think if they were dating you,
Yeah,
then they
no,
were
I know.
obviously like interested. But I do think there's like this fear on many men's part of like just saying, what they honestly feel, even if it's negative, about like why things didn't or won't or whatever won't work out. But I feel like you've said, so many men are scared of being the bad guy, that it kind of leaves this vague sense in your mind, and then it's harder to get over things.
I mean, even in these calls, I'm trying to think of like what I would be very political as well. You know,
Yeah.
like it wouldn't be, you know, the idea that like, you know, oh, I don't know. I don't think I'll speak for myself. You don't want to be like this, like, you know, this horrible event in someone's life. You want to be like, oh, and I lived and learned, you know,
Yeah.
like I guess that's how I look back on all of relationships. You know, like,
Do you ever like think back on a past relationship and have things that you regretted that you wish you could apologize for? A way that you had acted or something that you had done?
I guess of course. I think there's things I definitely would have done
Right.
differently, but I think also like I look back on some and gone, that's the point. I should have been brave enough to end it,
Right.
as opposed to
My
keeping
only regret is not ending it earlier.
My biggest regret is ever going out with you in the
right,
first
right.
place.
I no, but like I can see like, you know, points, but then I ended up being happy with what, you know, like I could have ended it then. I was still
Also,
happy.
you
in
know what
it.
I think it is, and I think this is Jared and me, but like we're not confrontational. Like we would try to avoid fights. There's some people who love fighting. They love getting into it.
Right.
So I think if I handpicked these 4 guys. I could have called 4 other guys I've dated, and those calls would have been very different. You
Right.
know,
You knew these would be
I
kind
knew these are
landing
nice
spots.
guys, and I had nothing bad to
positive,
say about
yes,
them.
right.
I could call 4 other guys and be like, "You're asshole. You definitely cheated on me. You were a piece of shit." You know, I didn't call those guys.
Why'd you do that? Right. Maybe we'll
My
do
only
can
regret is I didn't end it sooner.
we do a follow-up where you call those? I mean,
That's the next one.
Yeah,
If this
yeah.
one does well, you gotta go back to
Oh,
the
those
well.
would be so short. I'd be like, "Why'd you ghost me?" And then they'd hang up. You know?
Ghost you right
doing
now.
it again.
Hello?
I'll do it again.
So I think like if I called 4 other guys, like there's guys I'm thinking of who like if I called them right now, they'd be like, "Well, you know why I did this, Robyn? Because X,
Right.
Y, and Z." So some people are more wanting to fight, and others are trying to avoid.
Other than this guy realizing that I'm thankful that
Yeah.
you ended this, what were other realizations from it?
Well, I didn't realize this, but a lot of the fans and listeners was the 4th guy I called, which is Frank, who I dated for 5 years. He was my last boyfriend. They think he's still like in love, like there's still stuff there.
Okay.
What
Well,
made
you
them
guys
say
are good
that?
friends, right?
We are best friends.
Still.
Yeah.
How do you-
like we speak every day?
We just did an email
Yeah.
kind of on this subject.
Well, can I ask you?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, in terms of being friends with an ex.
yeah.
If you find them attractive, this is one thing I've never really understood. Is like if you
Oh,
found
he
them.
thinks I'm repulsive.
Oh. Well, if you found each other attractive enough to date at
Yeah.
one point,
Yeah.
and you like each other's personalities enough to want them as a friend, I'm always like, that's what I think about people with like amazingly friendly divorces. I'm like, why aren't you just still married?
Just because you want to fuck someone and just because you like being around someone doesn't mean they're the right match for you.
Right.
Like I think I want to talk to him all the time. He bends over backwards to make my life better. We find each other attractive. But when it comes to my partner, one, it's long distance and I don't want to do that anymore. He doesn't want to move to New York. I don't want to move to San Francisco.
Okay.
2,
San Francisco,
no, San Diego.
which
which is a
different place, but
different
then it
place, but yeah.
How long did you guys do long
The
distance?
whole 5 years.
The whole 5
Wow.
years.
So
Yeah.
but
But
he
we
still lives there.
Yeah, but we would see each other like every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks. Like we really saw each other. And when we saw each other, it'd be for a week or 2 at a time.
How'd you meet?
He was a follower of mine on Periscope. Remember Periscope?
Periscope. That's
Remember that?
great.
What is
Yeah, it
Periscope?
had like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was like a live streaming app before Instagram or Facebook had
Okay.
live.
Like Instagram Live. of
Yes,
sorts.
but before
Yes.
Instagram Live, there was a Periscope, which was a live streaming app.
Okay.
And he was just like a fan, and I was dating Hercules at the time, and he would always like send me gifts. He was just like a nice
wow.
guy.
Gifts.
Yeah.
What did he
kind of
send
gifts?
you?
What'd you get?
Like
Anything
OnlyFans? What is going on? Gifts.
The pictures I sent deserved gifts. No, I'm kidding. And no, because like I would do characters live streaming.
I remember this. Yeah.
And my fans, because like I was a comic, I didn't have money. The fans would send my characters like props and costumes and
Okay.
things like that. So he was just like, and I just always take notice of him in the chat. And then he came to my LA show and I met him and I liked him.
Do you-
And, yeah.
Are you dating anyone at the moment?
No.
Do you feel like if you started dating someone seriously that person would be okay with your...
No, we would definitely have to like change our. No more.
Frank isn't coming to the wedding.
The honeymoon.
Right. Frank's
He's
there
like,
giving
we're
you
between
gifts.
us.
Besties, right? I mean, would you be comfortable dating someone who had like an ex who was like their best friend?
It would be weird. It'd be weird to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would text them. No pictures. No bathing suit pictures. No relation. No.
I'm like,
No
I need to
surfing?
post my
Right,
bikini
right.
pictures,
I'd go
Jared.
full Jonah Hill. No, it would be weird. I would. But here's what ends up happening. I've been the friend of the woman that I used to hook up with.
Okay.
And what you find is like they get into a relationship, you go, and because you talk about dating, I'm sure you talk about dating with Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I went on this date. And it's a little bit like flirty between you two, the way you talk about dating. But it's also like we're done here. But we
Right.
have these flirty conversations about like kind of like high end, blogosphere dating opinion shit.
Yeah.
Oh, a guy, he did this on the date. You make fun of it, or they did it. And then they start getting, and you find out that they're getting serious. And
slow
slowly
fade.
Yeah.
you are phased
Yes.
out.
Yeah, no, it can't stay like this. And actually, I did date someone for a couple of months, and during those months, Frank and I definitely talked a lot less. Like it has to change when
But
one
you
of us
both
sees
seem
someone.
like you're sort of like aware of that.
Yes, and like we both like check in. Like when he's seeing someone, like I'll step back a little,
Right. It
Well,
sounds a
all-
lot like the plot of My Best Friend's Wedding.
Is that-
with Julia Roberts.
Have you ever seen that?
It's is that the Julia Roberts?
Cameron Diaz.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Great movie.
She brings a guy that's gay as her date.
Yes, to try
Yeah.
to make like the best friend jealous because he's engaged to Cameron Diaz.
Yeah. And they're having this amazing. The wedding's crazy. Like it's at like a castle.
Something
Isn't
like
it?
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because her family's like really rich. Yeah, but I feel like when Frank meets someone, I'm gonna be so happy. Like I really do want him to find someone who's good.
You're not
Here's
going to
the-
be a little jealous.
No, I'm really I know people who listen to the episode don't believe it.
How
but
are you so
I'm
emotionally
really,
stable?
Emotionally detached.
I think this is emotionally unstable actually.
Yeah,
Now that
this
because the more I
is
hear
not
this,
normal.
no, because it's almost like it's like
Sociopath.
well, it's like a dealer. Well, if you think about it, it's like a drug, an addict dealer relationship. Like if you think in the way I'm hearing it,
Yeah.
because they were a fan who sent you gifts, love your comedy,
Right.
and you're like, I got to keep him around. I need this person who loves the thing I love putting out there. Like there's an element of that.
Yeah,
no?
but then I fell in love with who he was as a person. And
Sure.
he turned out to be he's like the greatest. Look, there's definitely
He's
something
so
wrong
great.
with
I don't
me.
want to marry him.
Right.
No, like
What if he moved here?
at this point I like so closed that chapter.
Okay.
Like that's I think
So you haven't hooked up since you dated.
no, I didn't say that. Rewind. Did I ever say that?
No, that wasn't said. Fair's fair. That was
Just that I
never
don't want to
said.
get back to that. I just wanted to like after I ended with someone, I want to find someone new. Like I just think you should always move forward and not backwards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't believe in getting back with an ex.
No, if
Okay.
it didn't, well, look, this is for me. Everyone's different. Like I can't say that. And there's probably someone listening who got back with their husband there, and it's great.
Right.
For me personally, if we broke up, there was a reason,
Right. I'm
So
with
now
you.
let's find someone who is that great but doesn't have that, So I just like every boyfriend I've had along the way has only gotten better. Because I learned what
Right.
I'll put up
Well,
with.
yeah,
Level
that's
up.
the
Yeah.
best thing about dating, right? Is that or the dating so many like multiple people is you get to learn something from every relationship.
So why go back?
Such a positive way of looking at it.
Yeah. So
This is a podcast. So you find out you're dating someone. So are you on dating apps? Or
Yes.
what apps are you on?
Hinge.
Hinge. So-
and locks, but the locks, the Jewish
the
men
Locks-
don't like me.
The Locks Club.
You've been on locks?
I think I
Oh
did
my
a
God.
sponsored thing with them once, and it's funny that it's supposed to be Raya for Jews. Is that
Yeah,
what the deal
exactly.
Elite-
it's
elite
elite
Jewish
Jewish
dating?
people.
It
And let me
has-
tell you, I've had one match, Jared. One
One?
match, and he wrote. He was an author, and I was like, "Oh, what's your book about?" Da, da, da. And he's like, "Oh, my 11 years in federal prison." I'm like,
What?
"Great,
Oh,
this
God.
is the one
This
guy."
is-
How did he get on there? How did
Yeah,
he-
he's elite.
How did he get on there? Yeah.
Good
Established
writer.
author.
This guy.
Was it Bernie Madoff's?
I wish he had that much money.
The Locks Club one was always a little problematic to me. The idea that the elite Jews were getting into making sure the
Not just the chosen people, it's
Right.
the extra chosen.
Extra chosen.
Right,
Specialty chosen.
what panel of Jewish moms is deciding
my
that
God,
these
that's
Jews
so
are better candidates than the other Jews? I don't know.
That
It's
is a
very
really
weird.
funny sketch
Sponsorship
of
or
like just a bunch of Jewish moms sitting around the table.
Right,
would be
a
very
doctor,
funny.
but
Yeah.
a dentist, no, ew.
Not Locksworthy.
Right.
Not Locksworthy.
No, but
Locks being the name is also a little anti-Semitic.
it's the whole thing is bizarre. I was just thinking like the red flag or deal breaker. You see that like this person has called the 4 of their exes on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, if they had such glowing reviews of
Right.
them, I think I'd be fine with it. Like, I'd be like, this is like the opposite of that "Are we dating the same guy?" Facebook group.
right? I guess this is
Like, come on here and talk positively about all your exes. I'm
fair.
like,
I was recently dating this guy. We went on 3 dates, but it was over the course of like 5 weeks or whatever. But we talk every day, and then he ghosted me, and I think he like found my social media because he wasn't big on social media.
Okay.
I think he found either the podcast or something on social media. So I actually don't know if this may come back to bite me, this podcast episode.
I definitely know that there's people that see my shit. They're like, fuck no.
I mean,
You know,
yeah, you're having
absolutely.
a dating podcast where
Right.
you talk about your experiences in dating. I think
Right.
a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to sign up for that.
Right. So
Yeah.
I
Especially
to
as
each their own.
comedians, we pull from our lives. Like you have to like be okay with your shit out there if you date your comic.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm on stage talking about my family right now, and I was like, they came to the show to like, and like everyone at the Comedy Cellar was like, have they seen it yet?
Are they insulted?
They loved it. They thought
That's
it was
great.
fucking
Yeah, I
hilarious.
mean, that's the yeah.
I mean, I talked to the last
They
episode,
raised
Fan
you.
the Taylor. Yeah,
So it's like-
yeah, these aren't lies.
Yeah.
yeah.
So listen, Robyn, this is amazing. We want everyone to go listen to the podcast, right? This is-
Check it out. I mean, it's such a good show. I love the energy that you bring there. As someone who can become, and I don't know if this came across, can sometimes come off negative. I think this is, I think it's such a great show. It's uplifting. It's just like such a fun listen, and everyone who listens loves you. I mean, if you look at the reviews again, as I do,
And
it's amazing.
it's a call-in show. So that
Yes.
episode was about exes, but most episodes each episode's a different topic. And
I called in.
Oh yeah, you called in. That one was about I think that was breakups actually, like the best.
Yeah.
No, the worst way to break up with someone or a good way to break up with someone. This past one was pet peeves, and the lines are open and anyone could call in, and it's live, meaning like real callers.
Oh, wow.
No
That's
voicemails.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, and again, you're going. That every time a video comes up that I see, it's a giggle time. Like it's like a fun
it's
giggle.
ridiculous.
It's like,
you have an infectious giggle. It makes me want to giggle.
right. One day, Jordana.
One day.
One day it'll happen.
But listen, do you have any dates? You go
Yeah,
on the
I
road?
just have Town Hall in the New York Comedy
Amazing.
Festival.
Shit.
Yeah,
Everyone go.
yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna
That's
be,
amazing.
It's gonna be
Congrats,
huge.
that's awesome.
I went to the theater 2 days ago to actually see it. It's like overwhelmingly like just beautiful.
It's beautiful, great theater. We
Like, it's
did
huge.
Town
Yeah.
Hall.
We've done Town Hall a couple times.
Yeah, great
great,
theater.
great venue.
Yeah, you're gonna be amazing. Everyone should go.
Thank you.
But yeah,
Thank you
that's-
so much for coming
thank
on.
you.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
This
And
is
again, check out
fantastic.
Call Waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we solved Robyn's dating life again.
I'm a sociopath.
Yeah,
We
got
do
it.
it. That's what we
Yeah,
figured
that's
out.
what we've discussed. That's what we've discovered.
She's in a
mean,
a
that
drug
makes me-
dealer type relationship
I
with
wanna
a
date you
former
now.
fan.
This is how we know they're not a positive. Instead of just being like, Robyn, this was so beautiful. They're like,
Right.
you know what your mental problems are?
You got a guy sending you gifts from San Diego.
What the fuck is up with that?
Yeah, what's going
Your
on? That's
friends with an
crazy.
ex? What? This is great. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday. Bye.
Boom.
The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.